in the beauty of the lilies. In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea, with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me, as he died to make men holy, let us fight to make men free. Our God is marching on. Big chorus. And glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. I guess you say, what can make me feel this way? My girl, my girl, my girl, talking about my girl. Oh, we have a wonderful pianist who grew up Catholic near Lindstrom, Minnesota. Are they applauding for Minnesota or for Catholicism? I don't know. So I think we should see if he knows Protestant hymns. Oh Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe display. Come on, sopranos, sopranos. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Now I think we're ready to sing our national song for this 4th of July weekend. This may be your only chance to sing it. Our country is divided. It always has been. Perhaps it always will be. Who knows if this will ever change? All the more important on this 4th of July weekend to put an arm around the others and realize this is our country. This is our country. We all belong here. All of us, equally, all of us. So let's sing it for everyone, and let's stand and take a deep breath and sing our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see I have gone through the light, but so And now I'm going to introduce an announcer named Phil, who, for his benefit, I hope you will all sit still as he comes out to give you important information. Phil. I said I will. Yes, sir. Do you need a microphone?
I have a microphone here.
Are you going to join us in the duets or no?
I've not been asked, but well, maybe.
Huh?
See what happens.
Oh, maybe.
Sure.
You know, for your benefit, during the intermission, we're going to sing a duet, you and me. They may all leave.
That sounds wonderful.
Huh?
That sounds wonderful.
What do you want to sing? Deep River or?
Let me think about that. Probably something that I know the words to.
How about, well, she was just 17, if you know what I mean.
How about the first song I ever sang in front of people, which was Love Potion No. 9.
I don't know that one.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lake Superior, Big Top, Chautauqua, the Carnegie Hall Show. It's so nice to see you all out there. How many people are here for their very first time? Where have you been? Now, welcome to the Big Top. We like to let people know that we are a nonprofit organization, as is Ashwa Bay over here. Ashwa Bay runs this wonderful ski hill. They have bike trails, cross-country trails in the wintertime, and they have the food and beverage concession as well. Now, when you came in here, somebody probably helped you at the gate with your ticket. They may have given you a ride on a golf cart. They may have sold you a raffle ticket or some merchandise, helped you find your seats in here. They even clean the place up when we're done at night, and they are volunteers, and how about a nice hand for them? Now, this is our 35th season at the Big Top here, and we are dedicating it to two individuals without whom this would never have happened. And that's Mary Rice and Jerry Carlson. We miss them dearly. That beautiful pink pew there reminds us where Mary sat all the time throughout all these years. We do have a season sponsor in the Bayfield Inn, Bayfield's premier lodging and dining establishment, located downtown Bayfield on beautiful Lake Superior. And I love that deck. Nice hand for the Bayfield Inn. Well, I think that's about it, and let's get back to the program. And thank you, Mr. Keillor.
This is the year of the endless summer. This is the time is now. There is no past, there's only future. It's in your hand, the time is now.
Your smiling face, your gracious presence, the fires of spring are kindling bright. Oh, the radiant heart and the song of glory, crying freedom in the night.
This is the day
By the sparkling river, its timely grace,
our treasured find.
This is the love of the one magician. Turn the water into wine.
This is the year of the endless dancing, when we're dancing, you and I, in the night. This is the time of the true romancing, when I'm holding you, oh so tight. This is the year, now that we must savor, we we must enjoy as we can. This is the time that is heaven's favor. You have to hold it in your hand. This is the days of the sparkling river.
It's time we face our treasures find. This is the love of the God magician. Turn the water into wine.
Here I am, O Lord, and here is my prayer. Please be there. Don't want to ask too much, miracles and such. Just whisper in the air, please be there. When I die like other folks, don't want to find out you're a hoax. So I'm not on my knees asking for world peace, or that the polar ice cap freeze and save the polar bear, or even that the poor be fed, or angels hover o'er my bed. But I would sure be pissed if I should have been an atheist. Oh Lord, please exist. Oh, 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 oh. I'm a radio man for 51 years, doing an old variety show based on some I used to hear when I was your age long ago. Critics pointed out my debts to Bob and Ray and Fibber McGee, but alcohol and cigarettes swept those critics out to sea. And to 20-year-olds who were born too late to hear the great Fred Allen, I'm the inventor of the form, sailing the airwaves like Magellan. A thief who escapes and is not hung may yet be honored by the young. The secret of a long career is to keep going and not fade, and not think about your reputation even for 1 minute. It's like becoming the tallest boy in the 6th grade. You stick around and you're bound to win it. Dostoevsky over time found a punishment to fit the crime, and slowly as a centipede trots off, he wrote the brothers Karamazov. Mrs. Joyce cried out in bliss, he's finally done it. He wrote Ulysses. James had a smoke and took a break and started in on Finnegan's Wake. So do your work, keep going straight ahead, and you can be a genius someday after you are dead. Whoa, 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 whoa. People heard a profound thought back in the back of the tent here, and they gasped to hear it. My daughter brought home her boyfriend with great big ugly tattoos and long black greasy hair, and Lord how he loved the booze. I said, darling, I'm sure he's nice, but something makes me nervous. She said, Daddy, he's very nice. He's doing 300 hours of community service. He's from Wisconsin. His name is Tom. I met him on a website, date.com. Oh, we're going to marry as soon as he gets sober, and I'm expecting his baby at the end of October. Oh, my love, my darling, I hungered for your touch. This long, lonely time.
And time goes by
So slowly, and time can do so much. Are you still mine? I need your love. I need your love. Godspeed your love to me. Lonely rivers, they flow. Lonely rivers flow to the sea, to the sea, to the open arms of the sea. Lonely rivers sigh, wait for me, wait for me. I'll be coming home, wait for me. Oh, my love, my darling, I hunger for your touch. The long, lonely time. Oh, 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 oh.
and
Time goes by so slowly,
and
time can do so much. Are you still mine? I need your love. I need your love. Godspeed your love to me. Oh,
to
slow days of summer in this old town. Sun goes across the sky. Sometimes a car goes by. There's one right now. Looks like a Chevy. Your Chevy's blue. This Chevy's white and brown. It isn't slowing down. Guess it's not you. You said you'd be here someday or so. Maybe by Saturday, if you could get away. You didn't know. I love you, darling. Waiting alone, waiting for you to show, wishing you'd call me though I don't have a phone. Visions of love appear. All is alive. Birds sing in angel tones. Small stones like diamonds all down the drive. Hope you're not fiction. Hope you are true. Here in a town up north, I'm walking back and forth, waiting for you. Around the corner, an old dog appears, stands in the summer sun, waiting for love to come. Wish you were here. La 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 la. Ooh. La 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 la. Around the corner, an old dog appears, that's me, stands in the summer sun, waiting for love to come. Wish you were here. Wish you were here. Wish you were here. That's a song I wrote years ago. I wrote it years ago. I wrote hundreds of songs, most of them pretty dreadful, for this radio show that I used to do. And I just tossed them off. And the other day, I was in New York, and I was sitting at a cafe on Amsterdam Avenue, right around 88th Street, and a woman sat down. Her name was Jeannie, and she teaches English as a second language. And she teaches it by FaceTime to a monastery of Buddhist monks in Nepal. And she was using some of the stories of Lake Wobegon. And the monks were very interested in the story of Tomato Butt and Bruno the fishing dog. They'd never heard of ice fishing in Nepal, and they were fascinated by it. But more than anything else, they loved that song of mine. This compliment came to me as I was eating a hot dog, as I was just eating half an hour ago, and that's what made me think of it. It was a hot dog compliment from somebody I never knew. And it means so much to me, I can't tell you, that these young men with shaven heads, many of them from just poor families, that's why they went into a monastery, and they embrace Buddhism, the very simple religion, many, many gods, but the basic principle is don't be a jerk. And kindness, always kindness at all times to all people. It's the basic principle. And they loved that verse, waiting for you to come, waiting for you to show, wishing you'd call me, though I don't have a phone. There was something Buddhistic about it, I guess. It's meant so much to me, and I'm at this age where there's a lot of regret. You have a lot to remember, and things that you regret. You have these moments. Why am I here? Why did I come in the kitchen? What was I looking for? Someday they'll invent a robot. Alexis will tell you. Siri will tell you, but not yet. So You feel lost and confused, and out of nowhere comes this signal from your past that what you did meant something to somebody. I used to do commercials for Bebop, Rebop, Rhubarb Pie on the radio, and one little thing can revive a guy, and that is a piece of rhubarb pie. Serve it up nice and hot. Maybe things aren't as bad as you thought. Well, mama's little baby loves rhubarb, rhubarb, bebop, rhubarb, rhubarb pie. Mama's little baby loves rhubarb, rhubarb, bebop, rhubarb, rhubarb pie. I did a show in Stillwater the other day, and a man, an elderly man my age, walked up and said, you know, in our family, we listened to your show, and in our family now, when there is an awkward moment of anger building, and there's that painful silence, and an explosion is just about to occur, one of the children will say, wouldn't this be a good time for a piece of rhubarb pie? To know that you've made a difference, you know? It's all that we really want. I mean, I went into fiction because I had worked hoeing corn the summer of my junior year in high school, and it was hard work, and I had no interest then in working hard, so I went into fiction, which I had a natural talent for, and I should have gone into raising corn. I see that now. The price of corn back in 1959, when I was hoeing it, was $1 a bushel, and now it's $6.50, and it's going up because of the drought. It's going to keep on going up. The money, of course, the money's not in hoeing; it's in investing, in speculating, in corn, which is a lot like fiction, but different. And but instead, I went into fiction, and the field of fiction is flat for a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male. It's all stories about women, and it's memoirs of misery and so forth. And so a guy of my color, whatever my color may be at the moment, perhaps pinkish or reddish, has no place. So I'm stuck. I'm stuck in the field of fiction. A mistake, I was talking to the Dalai Lama the other day on the phone, and he said that since they've gotten cable TV at the monastery in India, where they live in exile, he's become an enormous Minnesota Twins fan. And now he wishes that he were playing second base for the Minnesota Twins and was turning the double play. Second base, double play, a twin uniform would express the duality of Buddhism, humanity and mortality. And now he wishes this was what he had chosen. Well, he didn't have a choice, because he was chosen by elderly monks when he was a little tiny kid as the reincarnation of the previous Dalai Lama. So here we were on the phone, these two elderly men wishing life had treated us differently. But life is good. I learned about the Dalai Lama and Buddhism from a friend of mine, Sally Friedman, in St. Paul. You could talk to her. She made a trip to India. She had never been to India, and she went to her hairdresser, Mr. Amador, on Grand Avenue, and she said, I want you to do my hair up. because I'm making a trip to India. He said, why in the world would you go to India? It's impoverished people and the virus everywhere you go, and they don't want tourists there. Well, she said, I've always wanted to go to India. Where in India? Well, she said, I want to go to the Uttar Pradesh province up in the northeast of India. Oh no, the food is terrible up in northern India. You'll spend 2 weeks on diarrhea. You'll be sick, and people won't understand you. They don't speak English up there. And why would you want to go there? She said, well, because there's this monastery, the monastery of Judea, and the Dalai Lama lives there in exile with his Tibetan monks. And I've always been interested in Buddhism. Well, why is a Jewish woman from St. Paul interested in Buddhism? And the Dalai Lama, he's not going to talk to you, and you're going to be miserable. Well, I want to go. I've always wanted to go, so I'm going to go. He fixed her hair as best he could, and she went off to India, and she came back 3 weeks later, and he said, so how was that? She said, it was fabulous. It was the experience of a lifetime. The people were so kind and welcoming, and I loved the landscape and the mountains and the valleys, the rivers and so on. And I never was sick for a day, and I loved the food, the Vindaloo cuisine, and I went to Uttar Pradesh, and I went to the monastery, and I saw the monks in their robes, and they were kneeling on this carpet, and they were meditating, and there in the middle of them was the Dalai Lama himself, and without Richard Gere, he was just there by himself, and I didn't want to interrupt him. I tiptoed toward him, and he saw me, and he smiled, and he gestured for me to come closer. And I knelt alongside him. And he bent down and he said, who in the hell cut your hair? You look terrible. Buddhism, it's a powerful force. Buddhism, which says wanting less is the secret of happiness. We could have formed a choir up here, but just two people, a duet. Prudence Johnson.
Thank you. Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich, and your ma's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing. You'll spread your wings, and you'll take the sky. But till that morning, ain't a nothing can harm you. With daddy and mommy standing these mornings, you gonna rise up singing. You spread your little wings and you take the sky. But till that morning, ain't nothing gonna harm you. With Daddy and Mommy standing Dan Chenard.
Mr. Dan Chenard here at the piano. Prudence Johnson. I grew up with duet singing. I sang duets with my sister. It was the only time we ever got along was singing. We sang gospel songs, and you can't really fight with somebody when you're singing about forgiveness and repentance. So
That
we
is
didn't.
true.
We've been fighting ever since, but didn't you? We all grew up with the Everly Brothers. We grew up, didn't we? We grew up, darling, you can count on me when the sun dries up the sea. Until then, I'll always be devoted to you. We grew up with, we were already grown up when Simon and Garfunkel came in, and they were a great duet. Homeward bound,
I wish I was homeward bound.
home
Where my thoughts are skipping, home where the music's playing, home
where my love life's waiting silently for me. Even the Grateful Dead did some harmony singing. They were famous for all the wrong reasons,
They
for
did some beautiful harmonies.
leading wild lives. But don't you remember that Robert Hunter song that they did, If My Words Did Glow?
With the gold of sunshine
Gold of Sunshine. And my tunes were played.
on the harp unstrung.
Yeah. Tunes played on a harp unstrung is like wishing you would call, though I don't have a phone.
Right.
Are you waiting for a note?
No, I was just trying to remember that word glow.
Huh? Here, we'll just sing a cappella, don't worry. The piano is
If my words did glow
with
the gold of sunshine, if my tunes were played on the harp unstrung, would you hear my voice come through the music? Would you hold it near as it were your own? It's a hand-me-down.
You know this song?
The thoughts are broken.
Some people do.
Perhaps they're better left unstrung. I don't know. Don't really care. Let there be songs to fill the air. Ripple in still water,
Minnesota,
where there is no pebble tossed, nor wind to blow. Reach out your hand. If your cup be empty, if your cup is full, may it be again, let it be known. There is a fountain that was not made by the hand of men. La 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 la.
So this is where all the Jerry Garcia fans settled, in northern Wisconsin. At last, we found them. We found their whole colony up here. Let's sing a duet here. Let's sing that sweet love song that Ann Reed wrote.
Oh, I'd love
remember
to do that one, yes.
You know
It's
Ann,
beautiful.
don't you?
Yeah, I do.
How's she doing?
As far as I know, she's doing great. Dan sees her quite often.
Is that right? Okay.
I would give anything
To hear you say that you love me
too in such a way. We've been friends many years, and all that time I have been wondering what it would be like if you were mine. If I told you the truth, if I let my heart sing, would I then win your love or lose everything? A friendship standing through the test of time. I have been wondering what it would be like if you were mine. If I told you the truth, if I let my heart sing, would I then win your love or lose everything? To watch you sleep at night, to hold you close, how full my heart would be, I may never know. These dreams come passing through in lonely times. I have been wondering what it would be like if you were mine. These dreams come passing through in lonely times. I have been wondering what it would be like if you were mine.
Do you remember that song? It was a hit song. Whose was it? Hank Snow? Right around the time of Prairie Home Companion started. Prairie Home Companion radio show.
I remember that. I think.
Saturday nights.
Saturday nights, it was like 5 o'clock or something.
1974. Yeah. Powder milk biscuits, all of that. Yeah. Rebop, bebop, rhubarb pie.
Yeah. Kitty Boutique.
Smells so lovely when you pour it, you will want to drink a quart of coffee. It's delicious all alone, it's also good with donuts, black coffee. Coffee stimulates your urges. It is served in Lutheran churches, keeps the Swedes and the Germans awake through the sermons. Have a pot of it today. I'm sure you'll say it's awfully good coffee. No, it was a radio show. It was on Saturday
I
night.
think I caught that a few times.
It was a lot of people avoided it because they had commercials and it was non-commercial radio. And there were dreadful, dreadful jokes on it, barroom jokes, and on at 5 o'clock, and your children were listening. And anyway, let's sing that. Let's sing that song. I heard Paul Simon did a duet with this, with his wife,
His lovely wife.
Edie.
Yes.
Yes, it's a gorgeous thing. Willie Nelson recorded this, and a lot of people did it. But we never did. Why not? The sweetest songs belong to lovers. In the gloaming, why are you laughing at me now? The sweetest days are the days that used to be. The saddest words I ever heard were words of parting.
When you said, sweetheart, remember me. Remember me when the candle lights are gleaming. Remember me at the close of a long, long day. It'll be so sweet when all alone I'm dreaming, just to know you still remember me.
Oh, once you promised me that you'd be mine forever, and I'd be yours till the end of eternity. But all those vows are broken now, and we will never be the same, except in memory. Remember me when the candle lights are gleaming. Remember me at the close of a long, long day. It'll be so sweet when all alone I'm dreaming, just to know you still remember me. Another face may take my place when we're apart, dear. Another love, a love more bold and free. But in the end, fair weather friends will break your heart, dear. If they do, sweetheart, remember me. Join us on the cars. Remember me when the candle lights are gleaming. Remember me at the close of a long, long day. It will be so sweet when all alone I'm dreaming, just to know you still remember me. Just to know you still remember me. Just to know you still remember me. Did Bob Dylan ever sing duets? I don't think he did. I don't think Bob Dylan sang duets, maybe because so many of his songs had too many words for anybody else to memorize. But he wrote that love song, which is one of his few love songs. I think it's one of his greatest songs. It's the reason he got the Nobel Prize, I think. And you know this song,
Sure
right?
do. Let's do
Right?
it.
Let's do
sing
it.
it.
They'll join us on the chorus.
Close your eyes, close the door. You don't have to worry anymore. I'll be your baby tonight. Shut the light, shut the shade. You don't have to be afraid. I'll be your baby tonight. Well, that mockingbird gonna sail away. We're gonna forget it. That big fat moon gonna shine like a spoon. We're gonna light it. You won't regret it. Kick your shoes off. Honey, do not fear. Bring that bottle over here. I'll be your baby tonight. That mockingbird gonna sail away. We're gonna forget it. That big fat moon gonna shine like a spoon. We're gonna let it. You won't regret it. Keep your shoes on. Honey, do not fear. Bring that bottle over here. 'Cause I'll be your baby tonight. I'll be your baby tonight. I'll be your baby tonight.
I want to come out here and do some poems for you. I did poems on the radio, and poets appreciated it, but so did other people. Other people who were not English majors, carpenters and plumbers and so on. These were poems. The poems that I liked were poems of clear, strong statement. And like that song you and I were going to do. That Bruce Phillips song. I love that chorus of his. Let's just sing it.
I think of you as the night goes by.
You're on my mind the whole day through. Far away in a lonesome city, all the time you're gone. I think of you.
When in disgrace with fortune in men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and think upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet in these thoughts, myself almost despising, happily I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered, such wealth brings that I would scorn to change my lot with kings.
I think of you as the night goes by.
You're on my mind the whole day through. Far away in a lonesome city, all the time you're gone. I think of you.
Just off the highway to Rochester, Minnesota, twilight bounds softly forth in the grass, and the eyes of those two Indian ponies darken with kindness. They have come gladly out of the willows to welcome my friend and me. They bow shyly as wet swans. They love each other. There is no loneliness like theirs. We step over the barbed wire into the meadow where they have been grazing all day alone. At home once more, they begin munching the young tufts of spring in the darkness. I would like to hold the slenderer one in my arms, for she has come over and nuzzled my left hand. Something in the breeze moves me to caress her long ear that is delicate as the skin over a girl's wrist. Suddenly, I realize that if I stepped out of my body, I would break into blossom, wrote my old English teacher, James Wright, in a poem called A Blessing. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees 100 miles across the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving over the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep forests, over the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese are heading home again, high in the clean blue air. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you over and over, harsh and exciting, like the wild geese, announcing your place in the family of things. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper who has flung herself up out of the grass and lies eating sugar out of my hand, moving her jaws sideways, not up and down. She gazes with her enormous and complicated eyes. She takes her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. And then she snaps her wings and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down in the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to look at what is in the grass, how to walk, to be idle and blessed all day, walking in the fields, which I have done. What else, tell me, should I have done? Tell me, how do you plan to spend your one wild and delicious life? I think of you as the night goes by.
You're on my mind the whole day through. Far away in a lonesome city, all the time you're gone. I think of you.
I think of you. Two poems by Mary Oliver. I think of you. Let's sing one more song and then let these people have a little intermission here. They've been sitting a long time. Very politely, I must say, very quietly. Let's sing a Tom Waits song, but we won't sing it like Tom Waits. We'll sing it in a higher key, okay?
Sun come up and it was blue and gold. The sun come up and it was blue and gold. The sun come up and it was blue and gold. Ever since I put your picture in a frame, I come calling in my Sunday best. I come calling in my Sunday best. I come calling in my Sunday best. Ever since I put your picture in a frame, I love you, baby, and I always will. I love you, baby, and I always will. I love you, baby, and I always will. Ever since I put your picture in a frame. has come off. Oh, oh, yes. I love you, baby, and I always will. I love you, baby, and I always will. I love you, baby, and I always will. Ever since I put your picture in a frame. Ever since I put your picture in a frame. Ever since I put your picture in a frame.
Thank you, Prudence. This is when we usually have an intermission, but you sang so beautifully before we started. I'm going to have you all stand, and those who need to go off and pursue their own will and wishes may do that now, and the rest of us come forward and let's form a choir, and we're going to sing a few songs out here. I don't get to do this, so I love doing it. Come on down here into the expensive seats, and we're going to sing a few. Those of you, if you tenors want to form a group, you may do that, because we always need more tenors, and basses would always sing towards the back, of course. But just sing one to warm up here. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamt I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken, and I wrung my head and cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Did you sing the verse about infidelity in school, or? Huh? No, you didn't sing that? No, they eliminated that for you younger people. It was inappropriate for children. But we sang a lot of inappropriate songs back in the day. We sang Frankie and Johnny were sweethearts, oh Lordy, how they could love, swore to be true to each other, true as the stars above. You didn't learn it, but we loved the song. In the 3rd grade, we sang about her going down to the pawn shop and getting a 44, and she looked over the hotel transom, and there, to her great surprise, he was in bed with Mary Bly or somebody, and we sang that verse with great enthusiasm when we were kids. The first time she shot him He staggered. The second time she shot him, he fell. The third time, there was a southwest wind from the northeast corner of hell. We loved that song. We sang The Irae was arising, and the gin was getting low. I seldom think we'll get a drink till we come to Buffalo. We love these songs. They've all been eliminated from the public schools. Lest somebody, one person, complain. They've all been eliminated. And so instead of a diverse assortment of songs, children now sing songs about diversity. All right, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. It's just an old man complaining. Let's see how many Lutherans are here. And let's sing this song a cappella here. When peace like a river attendeth my way, and sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well. Here we are in this Keillor. When peace like a river attended my way, and sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it is well with my soul. Sopranos. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. Then, Lord, haste the day. Then, Lord, haste the day when the faith shall be sight, and the clouds be rolled back as a scroll. The trumpet shall sound. The trumpet shall sound, and the Lord shall descend, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. Then let's form a church, yes, just you, all, and me, and we will all sing as one, sopranos and altos and basses in harmony. Oh, say it, Lord, and it shall be done. It is well, it is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Praise him, all creatures here below. Praise him above, ye heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth, carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. I went out to Bayfield, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. Of angels coming after me, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. If you get there before I do, coming for to carry me home. Swing, that I'm coming to, coming for to carry me home. Last chorus, swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. What's next? What other songs do we all know? Other than On Wisconsin. I'm sorry? Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Tis grace hath brought my sorrow to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun. We've no less days to say God's praise than when we first a verse. I think we'd better head in another direction before somebody takes up a collection. There was a lord of London town who courted a lady gay, and the only thing he courted her for was to take her sweet life away. Oh, give to me of your father's gold, and likewise your dowry, and 2 of the finest horses in your father's stable, for there stand 30 and 3. She mounted on the milk-white steed, and he on the fast-traveling gray. They rode until they came to the seaside, 2 hours before it was day. Alight, alight, my pretty Polly, alight, alight, cried he. 'Tis 6 pretty maids have I drowned here, and you the 7th shall be. But first take off your silken gown, and likewise your golden stay, for I think that your clothing is much too fine for to rot in the salt, salt sea. I will take off my silken gown, and likewise my golden stay. But before I do, you false young men, you must turn your back on me. And so he turned his back around to respect her modesty, and she took him by his great leather belt, and she threw him into the sea. And as he rose, and as he fell, and as he rose, cried he, oh, give me a hand, my pretty Polly, and you my bride shall be. Lie down, you false young men, lie down instead of me. 'Tis 6 pretty maids have you drowned here, go keep them good company. Oh, that is a song that we love to sing. When I was in the 4th grade, we didn't complain to our Christian parents. No complaint was made. It was very inappropriate, entirely, as inappropriate as it could be. But as you can hear, this lovely old murder ballad is fixed in this old man's memory. I always thought that I would be cranky when I got old, and here I am. Of course, there's still time, but my grandma, my grandpa, they got very cranky. I'm still walking around thanks to excellent medical care that they did not have the benefit of, but also thanks to all these advantages that we have today. The GPS lady, how does she know so much? She knows road closings and so on, and so many marriages that would have been destroyed if the wife were sitting there holding a map and trying to explain to the man behind the wheel, many marriages that would have ended right then and there go on thanks to the GPS lady. And if you take the wrong turn, she just thinks of an alternate route. She's reconfiguring the route. There's always another way. This is what we learn from the GPS lady. The cash machine. You used to have to write out a check for cash, and you have to give it to a woman with enormous eyebrows behind the teller's cage, and she took it into a back room and she showed it to a vice president or something, and you felt inadequate. You felt guilty. You felt as if you were a criminal. And now you put this card in. You put this card in, and cash, zip, 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 zip. It comes out. It makes me feel worthwhile, which I never felt before. Of course, PIN numbers, can be complicated when you lose your memory. But my PIN number is 5351. And I use it because that was the score by which my high school, Anoka High School, was defeated by St. Francis in the district tournament. We were supposed to go to state that year, and we were defeated by these gangly farm boys. We had a great team, but they froze up, and we lost 53-51. And so it's a defeat that you never forget. So I use it for everything. My Gmail, my all of my charge accounts, and my cash card and everything. It's good to have something that you remember. I was very unhappy when I was the age of some of these young people here, because I thought that bitterness and anger were signs of superior intelligence. I grew up in a lovely, peaceful, fundamentalist home, and yes, we did believe the judgment was coming and so forth and so forth. But I believed that a dystopian view of the world was a sign of creative intelligence. And so I wrote these dreadful long stories in which everybody died at the end, or I wrote bitter critical articles, but then I had to earn a living, and I had a small child, and so I got into radio because it was easy, because nobody was looking at you, so you weren't self-conscious in radio, and oftentimes you had a script and you just read from it, but I discovered when I started doing this show back in 1974, I discovered that people are not willing to to pay good money to be made miserable. Their children will do it for free, and so you have to change your tune, and you have to amuse people, or at least engage them on some human level. It changed my way of thinking entirely. And my life got smaller with radio. It just became this show every Saturday, and the adventures of Guy Noir and the lives of the cowboys, Dusty and Lefty, and the news from Lake Wobegon. You know, this little town, this sweet little town where I knew everybody. It's been a quiet week in Lake Wobegon, Minnesota. I go back there now mainly for funerals because my classmates are buying the farm one after the other, and they're cashing in their chips. So I go back and I attend funerals. And it's amazing that at this age, I'm 78, at this age, we have more in common than we did when we were 17 and 18. I wanted desperately to be cool when I was 17 and to be hip. Even though I was from Anoka, Minnesota, I had no idea what hip was about, except as a body part. But I wanted to be cool. I wanted so much. I wanted, I don't know, people to think I was smart. People did think I was smart because this was back in the day when if you were shy and you liked to retreat to dark corners and be by yourself and you were uncomfortable around people, back then it was taken as a sign of artistic ability. Now they wouldn't say artistic, they would say autistic. But they hadn't invented autism back in the 50s, and so I still am able to imagine that I am gifted. It's the gift of ignorance. But you can spend your whole career doing this. I go back, and we have so much in common because at this age, you're not interested in money that much. You know, everybody roughly has, you know, enough to get along, and you can always call on your kids, and your kids become wildly successful. And you're not interested in prestige and winning awards because you're not going to, so you don't care about it anymore. We all want the same thing. We want a little more time. That's it. That's what we want. Amen, brother. We want a little more time. We don't know how much, but money will not buy you that time. The wealthiest people go down young, many of them. And no, we just want a little more time, a little more time. Drink more water, walk a couple miles every day, do 10, 20, 30 push-ups, do whatever you need to do. Pray if that's your want. No, we just want a little more time. And so when I go to the funeral of somebody I knew when I was a kid, I'm often asked, because I am in the field of fiction, I'm asked to do the eulogy, and I do my best. I've done beautiful eulogies for people who I didn't care for at all. My mother said there's some good in everybody, so find it, find it. Darrell Holmberg, who, when I was in the 7th grade, very sensitive age, pushed me as I was standing at the urinal. And so I had this big dark spot down my left leg of white trousers, and I had to walk around half bent over holding books down in front of my left leg. It was painful. I gave a eulogy for him and said that he would do anything for a joke, and people accepted that as a good enough reason for him to have lived with us here on earth. I gave a beautiful eulogy for Julie Christensen, who I knew. She was a year older than I. She died when she was 79. She was a year older. She lived up the road from us, and I passed her house one summer day on my way to shoot baskets. We were playing horse or playing rhinoceros, and I was walking along, and she was there in her white shorts and a green t-shirt. Back then, t-shirts did not have writing on them. They were just green. And she stood there, and she was barefoot. She was a tall girl, and she said, "Do you want to wrestle?" I never imagined such a thing. This was very confusing to me. Do you want to wrestle? Well, I took a step into her yard. I didn't want to pretend that I hadn't heard her. I took a step into her yard, and I sort of gently put my hands on her shoulder, because she was, after all, a girl. And she grabbed me and she threw me down on my back, and she sat on me, and she pinned my shoulders down, and she was looking at me, and she was laughing. And she said, "Let me see you get up." I didn't want to get up. This was one of those life-changing moments. I didn't want to get up. This was what, I didn't know I wanted this, but now I knew. I wanted her to sit on me for as long as she wished. What does this say about me? I don't want to know, but I felt it strongly. And then she bent down and she said, "I'll bet you've never been kissed." And she kissed me. And she put her tongue in my mouth. I didn't know you could do that. And then she said, I have to quote her exactly. She said, "If you tell anybody, I will beat the shit out of you." So much else happened when I was 12 and 13. I don't remember a bit of it, but I remember that. It's fixed in my mind. It was a large moment in my life. I gave her eulogy. I wasn't going to tell the story because she had told me not to. But I recited that poem that I recited to you before. "When in disgrace with fortune in men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state." And I recited another one, Shakespeare's, "That time of year thou mayest in me behold, when yellow leaves or none or few do hang upon those boughs that shake against the cold, bear ruined choirs where late the sweet birds sang." And people loved it. They thought that they were original. They thought I had written them for Julie Christensen. They were not English majors, or if they were, they had not taken the advanced course. So, based on my eulogy for Julie, I have been invited to give other eulogies, and I do it. It just seems to come with the territory. I went back for Flag Day. I knew that I was going to be off here. I couldn't be back for the 4th of July. So I went back for Flag Day, which they do the living flag in Lake Wobegon. They do it twice a year, Flag Day and the 4th of July, where everybody in town, at least people my age, put on a red, white, or blue cap, and they stand in close in red and white stripes and the blue square with the little stars in it, and they stand in tight, which we, being Minnesotans, are very uncomfortable doing. I come from people for whom a handshake is quite intimate. We do not stand close to people we don't know, or even to people we do know. Men who I grew up with, my uncles, did not show affection to their wives in public. I assume they did in private, but who knows? There is such a thing as immaculate conception. So I went for Flag Day because I didn't want to miss this beautiful holiday. I came back. I had been gone for a while, and the town had changed. I must tell the truth that it's not the same town that it was that I talked about for years on the radio. It's different. The songbooks, like I was saying, have been changed, and all of the objectionable songs have been taken out. And Stephen Foster, I don't care, that's fine, I don't care. But that's all changed. The Christmas program is now called the holiday program, and they will sing 3 Christmas carols, but none of them using the word Savior, and they substitute the word teacher for that, lest anybody be offended by this. They have an entirely different attitude now. They will cancel school if 2 inches of snow is forecast. Back in my day, we went to school unless you could not see the school. If you were within a block and you couldn't see it, we would go to school. Your dad would tie a rope around your waist, and the rope was leading me towards the bus. A beautiful woman was leading me toward the bus. I had a dream. I was walking. The rope was 100 feet long. That was the distance from the house to the county road. And so when you got to the end of the rope, you knew that you were now at the road, and you waited for the headlights to come through the snow. And if you waited for a long time, and if the wind was blowing, then you might have to dig a cave for yourself. But you did. And if the bus didn't come after 3 or 4 hours, you reeled yourself back in and you went back home. And it was a rare day indeed when school was canceled. Now they have found that falling snow can trigger anxiety in small children, and they may require medication or therapy. And so. We were very different. We were stoics in winter. Stoicism is similar to clinical depression, but it's not the same thing. So just because you're a stoic doesn't mean you need to join a therapy group and sit in a circle of folding chairs in a church basement and talk about your father and his emotional unavailability. No, it was a different attitude. I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm not a judge here. I just watch. I just, listen. I just watch what other people say and think, and it's all of interest. I sit in the sidetrack tap in Lake Wobegon, and I listen to men who are drinking beer, and there are men there who believe that the 2020 election was stolen by mathematicians in Venezuela who came up with algorithms to bend the voting machines and to steal a Republican landslide and to elect a senile communist president and his left-wing followers who want to take away your guns and force everybody to ride a bicycle and live on yogurt and kale, and who have promoted a false Chinese influenza and invented a fake vaccine and forced people to take it, which will make people compliant and obedient, and thereby vampires will be able to run freely and drink the blood of small children. There are people in the sidetrack tap who believe this. I don't judge. It's not for me to judge. I say, as my mother said, you kids work it out between yourselves. It's not up to me. It's a different town. There's a lot of money now. There's millennial entrepreneurs who have come into town, and a company called Universal Fire, which makes artisanal firewood. They import it from Vermont and New Hampshire. Ash and oak that's grown above 5,000 feet and which is soaked in sea salt and it's, I don't know, supposedly good for your health. I don't know what. They raise, a woman named Lindsay raises cockapoos who are trained to care for children, including diaper changing and pushing a stroller. I mean, it's a whole other world. Artisanal root beer, artisanal ice from Lake Superior. It's strange. A company called Life Cycle, which makes a product called Red Medic. It's just tomatoes and dried tomatoes in a sauce containing a high proportion of the vitamin lycopene, which they say promotes longevity. And so now 5,000 acres in my county that used to be soybeans and corn are now planted in tomatoes. And they have brought in Mexican families to cultivate and to harvest the tomatoes. And the Lake Wobegon Whippets now have 4 Latino players. They have a shortstop, a second baseman, and they have 2 pitchers. They never had Latino players before. And they're starting to win games. The first time in memory. There never was, in the history of baseball, a great Lutheran shortstop, ever. So it's a different town, our team winning. But some things persist. And this old tradition of the living flag, the Sons of Canute, still on the 1st of January, they drive down to the dock and they break a hole in the ice, and old men get out of their cars in their bathrobes, and when Mr. Nilsson blows on the bugle, they drop their bathrobes. They are naked. They jump into freezing water, and there's a lot of whooping and splashing. And then they get out. Nobody knows why they do this. It's a Viking tradition to show your lack of fear of death. You are confronting death, going through the ice. I thought of this when I was standing in the living flag. I was wearing a red cap, even though I am a Democrat. I was with the red stripe, and Myrtle Krebsbach was standing in front of me, and Clint Bunsen was standing to my right. And he was telling me that Bunsen Motors went out of business. There's no more Ford garage. None of their kids were interested in taking it over, so they shut down. They shut down back in March, and hung out a going out of business sign on the door, and they sold off the showroom models and gave away the used cars to their relatives. And he had decided now he was going to live a new life. Clint was going to walk 2 miles every day, and he started that next afternoon. He took his dog Benny for a walk, and they walked around the lake, 2 miles around Lake Wobegon. He was walking along. It was kind of a mild, one of those mild March afternoons. He was walking along, and he looked out on the ice, and he saw money out there, about 75 feet out on the ice. And he thought about it for a moment. The dog barked. The dog was on a leash, barked. He knew what Clint was going to do. He didn't want to go, but he took the dog out onto the ice, and it was like walking on a trampoline in a way. It was kind of slushy, and he could feel his feet going into the slush. He walked 75 feet out, and it was a money clip with 5 ones in it. And he thought, this is the stupidest thing you've done in your life. The dog is smarter than you are. $5. He was wearing a heavy down overcoat. He'd put it on, and Irene said, you don't need that. It's very warm out today. But she said it in kind of a sarcastic, dismissive way, which then obligated him to wear the down coat. And here he was with his coat, and he figured that the water was about 25 feet deep where he stood. And if it went down, he was not going to be able to get that coat off in time. He would drown for $5. The dog was whining at his feet. He thought about Irene. It was her fault, really, to force him to wear this coat and lose his life on her behalf. And he thought of what would happen when he drowned here. He thought, well, I mean, she'll be grieving for me, of course, but she'll get over it. She'll get over it. And she'll sell the house. She'll give away all of my stuff. She'll give away all of my record collection, and she'll go down to Florida. She'll go down to Boca Raton, where her sister lives and where we visited last winter. And she'll probably take up golf. And now he thought of the man they met at the golf club down in Boca Raton, this man in yellow plaid pants and a pink striped shirt. This man, he could imagine this man teaching his wife to play golf, putting his arms around her, showing her how to hold a 5-iron. He could imagine it all, and it made him furious, the infidelity of his wife. And he took off running. His feet barely touched the ice. He dashed across the ice, and he went through the ice about 5 feet away from shore, but it was just 2 feet deep, and his pants got wet, but he ran all the way home, and there was Irene, and she saw that he had fallen into the water, and she wept, and she threw her arms around him, and now he could see he was wrong to have been jealous of the man in yellow pants. But on the other hand, it was jealousy that had saved his life and inspired him to run so fast. It was a conflict here in his mind. He told me all of this, and I said, do they still do that polar plunge, the Sons of Canute? He said, oh yeah, they do it. I'll do it again, maybe once more. That's why I thought of that. I just thought of it out of order. I'm just up here thinking, folks, that's all. It was nice to be around all of these people I know. Myrtle Krebsbach standing in front of me. She was on her cell phone and she was talking, and she explained to people around her that she was talking to her son Sheldon, who was in trouble down in Minneapolis. Meanwhile, the man up on the roof of the Central building with his bullhorn was telling people to move in closer. Move in, come on people, let's get this done now. And the ladder was sticking out from the roof up on the 4th floor of the Central building, and Larry, the photographer, was crawling out on the ladder, which was weighted down by 10 big men, but the ladder was bouncing up and down, and he was walking out to take an overhead picture of the living flag. Move in, people, move, come on, they're not gonna bite you, come on, people, move in. Myrtle was explaining that she was talking to Sheldon, who lives down in Minneapolis, and that he had been taking a shower, and he opened a door that he thought was a closet door to get himself a towel, and it was the door that went out to the garage, and it closed behind him, and so there he was, naked and wet, and he walked out of the garage, and neighbors saw him, and they didn't know him well enough, and so they called the police, and the police were there, and he wanted Myrtle to talk to the police and explain. She said, wet and naked, Sheldon, I saw you when you were wet and naked 55 years ago. It was the worst day of my life. 19 hours of labor. And the obstetrician was panicking, and he was thumbing through this obstetrics textbook, and the nuns were saying the rosary, and your father was there telling a joke, God help us, a joke about contractions, doesn't, isn't, wouldn't, can't, didn't, shouldn't. And I was in pain. It was like trying to push a football through a garden hose. And they did the epidural all wrong, and so that's why I couldn't have another child after you. You're an only child. You'll inherit everything. No, I've seen you before, wet and naked. No, I'm not going to talk to the police. You have a master's degree in psychology, Sheldon. Use it, for God's sake. Use it. If you had found a woman who was good enough for you, you could just knock on the door and she would open it for you. But no, you have to go on and on. The single raises questions. I don't care, Sheldon. Do whatever you're going to do. You ought to give us some nice gift, your father and me. Send us on a cruise or something. They've got cruise boats now on the Great Lakes. Send us on a cruise and do something. I read the story in the paper, the woman from Minneapolis who was sent by her kids on an ocean cruise, and she discovered that they had bought her the cheapest cabin, no balcony, no window. She was depressed. That night she went out on deck and she took all of the shuffleboard discs and she put them in a canvas bag and she hung it around her neck, and she was climbing the rail to throw herself over to be eaten by sharks or whatever they have in Lake Superior. Asian carp, something. And a sailor had to rescue her. I understood that woman. That woman is living my life. I know that woman very well. The man said, move in closer, move in closer. And finally they took the picture. It was great to be there, to realize that for all the changes, some things stay the same. I stayed around for 2 days to give the eulogy for Ronnie Peterson. Ronnie Peterson had died. He was no great friend of mine. I remember in the 7th grade, I dropped a pop fly. It was an easy pop fly, and it just bounced off my chest. And he called me a wiener, and it stuck with me somehow. The word wiener. Other people called me a wiener for a while. I don't know why it is, but for years afterward, in fact, as recently as this afternoon, I ordered a bratwurst up here, and any kind of sausage product is a trigger for me. Brought back memories of that pop fly that I dropped. No, but he died. He was a airline pilot for United, and he retired. He had a lot of miles, of course, and he uses them to go visit his girlfriends. He has girlfriends in Rome and Costa Rica and Copenhagen, and while his wife is doing volunteer work in Minneapolis, he goes off and visits these women. He was in Costa Rica when it happened. He was in a hurry because he had to get and see her and then get on a plane at 10 o'clock that night to make it back to Minneapolis for his grandson's baptism in the morning. And he was driving fast on a mountain road, and suddenly the road turned yellow. A truck up ahead of him, the tailgate came open, and a whole load of bananas fell out on the highway. And he put on the brakes hard, which is the wrong thing to do when you're driving on bananas. And he skidded 300 feet and crashed into a eucalyptus tree. And he died, and I was to give his eulogy. His wife and children did not know the story of his demise, only that it was an accident. His sister Johnette told me. I sort of wanted to put it in the eulogy, but I didn't. I said that he was on his way to a Buddhist monastery to meditate, and that he saw 4 little children, 4 orphans, crossing the road, and he swerved to avoid them, and he crashed into a eucalyptus tree with the smell of cough drops in his nose. So whenever you take a cough drop, you should think of Ronnie Peterson and how he gave his life to save 4 little children whom he did not even know. It was very nice. People liked it. I've told my wife that I don't want a eulogy because I don't trust them. My eulogy is very simple. He was extremely fortunate, very, very fortunate, and he lived a pretty good long life. And though he was a baptized Episcopalian, he became a Buddhist late in life, as most old people do. The things that we wanted all of our life, we forget them when we're old, and we forget a lot of other things too. And life gets small, and what we want is more time. And now here I've had this evening with you. It's what I wanted. All I wanted was for you to have a good time, and then I would be happy. So it was good enough. That's my eulogy, so that on the last day of his life, somebody can say, the setting of the sun, the rising of the moon, a few stars in the sky, it was enough. It was enough for him. That's the news from Lake Wobegon, where all the women are strong, all the men are good looking, all the children are above average. Thanks to Prentice Johnson. Thank you, Dan Chenard, Adam Granger, Bob Douglas, and the band. Thank you, everybody. You're such lovely singers. Let's sing one song as you're taking off. Good night, lady. Good night, lady. Good night, ladies. We're going to leave you now. Merrily we roll along, roll along, merrily we roll along over the deep blue sea. Farewell, ladies, farewell, ladies, farewell, ladies, we're going to leave you now. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind, should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne, for old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. Good night, my dear brother. Go home and take your rest. Lay your head upon your Savior's breast. Well, I love you, but Jesus loves you the best. So I bid you good night, good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. Good night, my dear sisters. Go home and take your rest. Lay your head upon your Savior's breast. Well, I love you, but Jesus loves you the best. So I bid you good night, 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 good night. Thank you, everybody.